From now onward, we're going to have our discussion in English. However, at the end of the session, there will be a question and answer session. During that, we would like your active participation. At that session, you are free to speak or ask your question in whichever language you are confident, Pashto, Dari, English, and we will provide you the answer there. So we're looking forward to your active participation, and I welcome Mr. Kakar. So how are you?
Alhamdulillah, thank you, I'm fine.
Looking forward to some talks about yourself.
Yes, happy to share my experiences, lessons learned, and give any advice I can.
Okay, that's good. So I'll just give you some, opportunity to mention something about yourself, like your name, where your background, where you come from, and some stuff, and then we can go from there.
Sure. So my name is Sanzar Kakar. I'm half Afghan, half American. I was born in the U.S., but I've spent most of my life in Afghanistan or in Pakistan across the border. I'm currently the chairman of Afghanistan Holding Group. We're a company with 180 employees. We currently have about 220 contracts, 4 offices around the country, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. So I understand that Afghanistan Holding Group is one of the success stories of entrepreneurship business in Afghanistan. But before we go to that, we'd like to know more about yourself as an individual. Can you tell us about your childhood and your early life? Like, were you a very spoiled kid, or very disciplined, or how?
Sure. Well, I'll go back even before my childhood. My father was born in Faryab, up in the north, in Afghanistan. And then he was doing very well in school, and so his father sent him to Kabul. And he went to Lycée Habibia High School in Kartechar. And he was the undefeated #1. He never missed a single point on any test he ever took. And so he got a scholarship then to go to the US for higher education. And he did his master's and his PhD. And then I was also born in the United States there. When the Russians and the communist era came to Afghanistan and the war started, my whole family actually did a reversed migration. Most people were leaving Afghanistan. My whole family came back. So we moved to Peshawar at that time, but my father was mainly in Afghanistan, but we were in Peshawar there. I went to Beacon House Public School there in elementary, in high school. Then I went to International School of Islamabad in Islamabad.
So this is, you were born in the US and then you migrated back to Peshawar, and then there you started your school.
School, exactly.
Okay.
So I was only 5 years old when we moved from the US to Pakistan. And so most of my education was actually in Peshawar and Islamabad.
Okay.
After high school, I graduated and I went to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. A wonderful school. I focused in computer science engineering as my undergraduate. But a lot of my experiences were shaped by that, the jihad time in Peshawar. There were a lot of Afghan refugees there, and so a lot of my experiences and my happy memories are from that time.
From that time, yeah. So let's go back to your school life. What kind of student were you? Undefeated? #1 like your father?
No, I wish I was a good student, but in Beacon House I was #2. I wasn't the first one. I didn't speak Urdu at that time,
okay.
And so I didn't do well in some of the classes that were there. But I was very good at math. I liked mathematics a lot. I liked science quite a bit. And then I think the type of student that I wanted to challenge myself quite a bit. So in high school, at the International School of Islamabad, there was a choice. People said, should I take really easy classes and get 100% on all of them and have a good score so then I can apply for college? Or should I take very, very difficult classes, advanced placement classes, and then it'll look good that I took some difficult classes? And so I was the person that took all of the difficult classes, and then I got the perfect scores on them as well. So I took 7 advanced classes while I was in high school there, and then next to that I also tried to do every possible thing I could. So I was in the Modern United Nations Club. I was in the soccer team, I was in basketball, I was in volleyball. I did, every activity that I could think of because I really, I wanted to, push myself as much as I could. But I also wanted to see what I enjoyed. And through a lot of those experiences, I gained a lot. With Model United Nations, we traveled to more than 12 countries, and I spoke in front of conferences, over 1,000 people. So that made me much more, I think, of a confident person because of that experience, because of getting used to public speaking. There's a joke that people were asked, what are your biggest fears in life? So they had to rank, what am I most afraid of in life? And so some people, wrote that, they're afraid of dying. Some people, they're afraid of, certain, accidents or disease or something. Animals. But actually the survey came, number one, people were afraid of public speaking. In standing up in front of people and talking. That was their number one fear. Number two was death. So they were more afraid of talking in public than of dying.
So to say that they rather die than to talk in front of people.
Exactly. So that helped me build confidence, and that's helped me throughout my life. Being able to talk, being able to be relaxed. I really gained those skills early on.
How do you recommend that, a lifestyle of a balanced lifestyle between academics and, social and extracurricular activities such as, sports and stuff like that? Because some people think that there are people who are fun. They want to go out, they want to play football, hang out with a friend. Or there are people that focus on studies. So what is your take on that? How balancing is going to help?
There's the hadith that the Prophet, peace be upon him, he drew a line in the sand and he drew another line and he said, our way is the middle way. So we don't go to one extreme or another extreme. And that's a very valuable lesson. Whenever you have the option to do different things, the extreme, whichever direction it is, that's not the right way. So, if all you do is study, you're gonna miss a lot of other street smarts, other skills that are also very important that you need to develop during your life. If all you do is play, similarly you're gonna lose out on what you need to learn, from others, and from books and from your classes and from your teachers and from others. So having a balanced way is very good, but that doesn't mean that we should completely there are times that you need to work very, very hard, right? So there are times, for example, in college, we had one class. It was the most difficult class in our school. It was called the operating systems class. And in this class, every student had to develop an operating system from scratch. So we have, Windows and, OS. And so you had to develop your own operating system from zero. So it had to have a file system. This is at college level. And so for that class, I remember for 40 days, I slept 4 hours a night.
40 days, 4 hours?
40 days straight, 4 hours per night I slept. So,
and why was that?
Because there was no other choice. You had to work so hard. So there are times in life
you
have to work hard.
Procrastinate, started late on that. That's why you
the class was 40 days. No, procrastination is a very big challenge in the economy because there's so many things to be distracted by. You open up your computer to start typing, and there's Facebook, there's some website, or you can check the news, you can check the TV, there's a new movie, somebody's calling, you need to eat. There's so many distractions. You very quickly lose sight, and it's very easy to put off something and wait until the last minute. Many things will happen at the last minute. Maybe sometimes you'll get more energized and you can perform better at that time. But getting rid of a lot of distractions is also very, very important. There are a lot of things you'll find in your life that are not very important. When I was in high school, one of my teachers, he brought this big glass bowl to the room. And from under the desk, he took out these rocks and he put it into the bowl. And the bowl was full. And he said, what do you think? What do you think? Is the bowl full? And we all said, yes, Ustaz. The bowl is full. You can't put any more rocks in the bowl. Then he took out another bowl of small pebbles. And he filled the pebbles in it. And he said, is it full? And we said, yeah, now it's really full. Then he took out some sand And he poured all the sand in it
Yes.
again, and he filled it all up. And he said, is it full? And we said, we don't know, you're going to do something else now.
Yeah.
And so then he took out some water and he poured the water and he filled it up. And he said, what's the lesson? What's the lesson in this story? That the same jug that I filled up before you. And so we said, Ustaz, maybe when you think that your life is full, you can always put more things in it. And he said, no. That's not the story. The story of your life, first you need to put in the big rocks.
Okay.
Only then the small things can go in, right?
Okay.
If I put the water in first, the rock's not going to fit.
Not going to fit, yeah.
So in your life, you need to figure out what are your big rocks.
Okay.
What are things that are most important to you? Is it your family? Is it your religion? Is it your career? Is it your health? Is it your academics? You need to put in the big rocks first.
Okay.
First do those things. Don't procrastinate and try only little things. Don't think.
Okay.
Once you get the big things in, then you'll find time for the little things.
Okay.
So that rule from very young age, I tried to always focus on the bigger things first before looking at the little things.
Okay. How about what time do you decide about your big rocks? When is a good time, to do that, and how it helps you to carry on your rest of your life after you've decided what your rocks are actually?
Yeah. So that's a very difficult question. When I started, I did computer science engineering. And the reason I picked it was I just said, what is the most difficult major that they have? And they said, University of Pennsylvania, the first computer, the ENIAC, was developed here. So our computer science program is the most difficult program.
Okay.
Usually we have 140 students that start at freshman, but only 20 graduate. So it's a very, very difficult program. So I said, okay, I want to challenge myself. I'm paying a lot of money for this university. Let's at least get something, out of it. Yeah. If I study something, that's, basket weaving or something, I'm not going to, earn something from it. But then my grandmother, she passed away, but she said, whatever you do, think of it as a tool. It's not necessarily that you have to do that. But whatever you start, finish it.
Okay.
And that was very important because when I went there, I realized actually I liked business a lot more. They had a great business school, the Wharton Business School there. And I liked business school.
What was your major?
My major was computer science engineering, and my minor was economics.
Economics,
Yeah.
okay.
So we did engineering, both software and hardware. We developed microprocessors. It was all kinds of crazy things. But I started it, and I remembered what she said, whatever you start, just finish it.
Okay.
Too many people, they start one major, then like, I don't really like this, I want to change this. Then they switch their major to another, and then another. And they do a little bit of everything, but they don't concentrate. They don't finish what they started.
Okay.
So whatever you do, my recommendation is, it doesn't matter what it is, but just finish what you started.
Just finish it.
And then
even if in the middle of, you start something, at some point you know that you don't like doing something. So you still have to finish that, or what?
Well, you don't like something, but you can always find interesting things. So in computer science engineering, I went and I found the best professors. One was legal studies, one was something else. So my electives, at least, I took in other waves. There's always problems and challenges, and you might have to, switch gears. There's many entrepreneurs that have dropped out as well. But I really thought it was important to finish. No one is going to say in your high school, what was your grade, or what was your scores, but they will know if you graduated or not.
Yeah.
In your life, they will know whether you finished school or not. So that was very important, for me, is to finish what I started. Then to decide what I wanted to do in life, that's also very difficult. Many people they have this dream that I'm gonna finish high school, then I'm gonna go to college, then I'm gonna get a job, then I'm gonna get married, then I'm gonna do all these things, and they think, later it's what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm just gonna finish this. Wait till one more thing. I can't do it
ticking
now.
the boxes.
Just ticking the boxes. But they don't realize that's their whole life. It's going by.
You're waiting
minute
for
by
the next
minute.
stage without considering where you currently are. Yeah.
So whatever you do, whatever you want to do, your question was, when to do it, when to decide. When did I decide? I wished I'd decided, 10 years earlier. Before I started 7 years ago. I wish I'd started, even before that. So there's a Chinese proverb that I like to say about that, and it says that the best time to start something was 20 years ago. For example, if you're planting a tree, right? If I plant a tree, the best time was 20 years ago if I planted a tree, because by now I can gain the fruit.
Yeah.
Now it's late, I can't do it. But the second best time is today.
Okay.
Because then 20 years from now, you'll be able to take the fruits of what you did. So it's very important. Whatever you want to do, don't make excuses. Don't wait till tomorrow or check the box or think of something else.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, just start it today.
Start today. Yeah.
And the path will take you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it will. The journey will start today, at least.
Yeah, I think it's very important because so every time is the right time to start something. So some people, they think about like how the environment surrounding us is going to shape our life. They say, okay, here we are living in Afghanistan. We don't know how is the future going to be. Are we going to have more challenges in the future? It's going to get better. So I'm going to start something that's going to get me until like 2-3 more years, and then decide if things are going to be better. Then I'm going to go for something extra. So what's your advice to people like that who are more concerned about their surrounding than what they want to do?
Yeah. Those are people that make excuses. They blame everything else. Oh, the economy is not very good. Oh, the security is not very good. Oh, there's no electricity. Oh, someone else has more money. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, my health is bad. Oh, my family is not. They will constantly, you will always find an excuse. No matter what. If you wait for all the excuses to disappear, it's the end of time, right? There will always be problems. There will always be challenges. So, Florence Nightingale used to say, the only reason I was successful was because I never gave and I never took any excuses.
Okay.
So that means that if somebody came to me and said, oh, Namesha, it's too late, or whatever it is, I don't accept an excuse. Okay, let's find a way. Let's solve a problem. You just keep pushing and pushing. Excuses don't help anyone.
Don't help.
And the same thing with yourself. Don't give someone else an excuse that, sorry, I was late, there was a traffic accident or this. Just don't give an excuse. You're late, khalas. Don't, it's your own fault. Don't blame anyone else. Don't blame the government. Don't blame your family. Don't blame your country, anything. The only person you compete with is yourself. Because that's the only person that's going to judge you is yourself.
Yeah, I think it was Henry Ford who said that whether you think you can do something or you think you cannot do something, you're right either way. So if you think you can do something,
exactly.
You can do it. Yeah. So
if you don't think you can do it,
you can do it. So you're right always. Now, so what kind of a person you think you are? Like very outgoing, very
Yeah, so I think I'm extremely outgoing. I mean, they did actually personality tests at one of my first jobs to see if people were introvert or extrovert. I'm a Leo, which is I think whoever developed the horoscope system was a Leo because it's the sun, the lion, all of the interesting things were there. I very much like to be around with people. I don't like being alone. I like doing things, like challenging things. I'm a big risk taker.
Okay.
I prefer very risky things, amusement parks or rides. I've gone parasailing. I've gone paragliding, where you go to a mountain, you jump off the mountain with a paraglide, and then go down. Things that are very outdoors and kind of invigorating. I really enjoy. So there's risk lovers and there's and others, and I'm very much a risk lover.
Risk lover. And how it translated into your professional life?
Well, into my professional life, when I first started working, I worked for a company called Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch was a bank in New York, so I worked with them. And many people, once they get stuck in a job, they just stay there for years and years and years, and they're not growing. They're not learning anything. They're not trying anything new. And so, but the reason is because they're also afraid. Well, what if I leave my job? I'm not going to have a salary. How am I going to afford it? What am I going to do? Food? Who's going to pay for the house or the car? Especially when you have children, what's going to happen, to them? So there's this fear. There's this big fear that's there. And so, being a risk lover, I really enjoyed that. The more, it didn't bother me that I could lose everything.
Yeah.
It's worth trying because there's a chance that it'll succeed.
So that's very interesting because I think we need to conclude one thing from this is that fear is one of the biggest impediments to your success. So if you're afraid of taking the next step, you're going to remain where you are for as long as it takes. So we, in our professional lives, always think that, okay, some people, like you mentioned, they like to be in one place, they have a good salary, they enjoy their job or something, so they say, why move?
Why move? Well, there's many reasons. You know, if you're growing in your job and you enjoy it, and you have stability, that's also a term of success. It doesn't necessarily mean that only because when you have your own business then you're successful. No, there's many different ways of success. And so when I was at Merrill Lynch, you know, again, they made us go through an exercise, and everyone took out a piece of paper, and they said on one side you write 5 things: health, academics, career, your family, and your religion. So these 5 things they wrote on the side. And then at the top they wrote 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year. And they said, okay, now everyone, you do your goals. Write your goals down. So, you know, I said, okay, family, you know, in 1 year, you know, I want to support my parents. In 3 years, I want to get married. In 5 years, I want to have children. Or, you know, with religion, in 1 year, I want to make sure all my prayers are on time. In 3 years, you know, I want to go to Hajj. In 5 years, I want to learn Arabic, or whatever it was, right? And similarly, every person was supposed to fill out their goals. And you realize that academic, career, health, there's so many more important things in life that money is just actually one of them, right? Okay. If you can be successful in many other areas, you can be happy. You can really help the people around you. It's a wonderful way that you can contribute to society as well. So after we took up this paper, they said, okay, now put it in your pocket, put it in your wallet, and every day, at night before you sleep, you look at it again, and you can say, okay, what did I do to meet this goal? What can I do tomorrow to help meet this goal more and more? And so I wrote these crazy goals that I thought, you know, it'll take me maybe 10 years, but I'm just trying to be ambitious. I'm trying to be, you know, very excited. So I wrote I wrote it that I wanted to first work for the public sector and the private sector. Then I wanted to start my own business. Then I wanted to, you know, expand it. And then I wanted to retire and go into venture capital and support other businesses. Okay. These were my career goals to do it. And so it sounded crazy, but I said, okay, I'll just play along. I'll fill out these goals and I'll keep going. But then every day something happened. Every day when I looked at the goals, you know, they say katra katra daryamesh, right? Yeah. Drop by drop. So I heard, oh, somebody's going to Hajj. I said, actually, that's one of my goals. Let me go do it now. It's a great opportunity. I can tick mark one of my goals. Oh, I heard someone is offering a job in Afghanistan. That was actually one of my goals. Let me go do that. And that job was a venture capital. 2 things in one goal, you know, to do. So exactly, 2 birds with 1 stone. And so, believe it or not, you know, within 3 years, not all, but most of my 5-year goals were done. Even
within 3 years?
Within 3 years.
Okay.
Because of that. So that really helped me.
This is
because it kept me on track. If I didn't have that, I would have kind of blind. What do I want to do in life? Okay. Where am I going? What's my plan? You know, they say every business needs a business plan. Okay. Right? But every person, we also need a life plan. Okay. Where are we going? What's our purpose? Okay. Of course, our end purpose is, inshallah, Jannah, right? Yeah. And so all of your goals, you have to work towards that as well. Yeah. How will each of these goals help me reach that? Yeah. Helping my family, how is that going to help? Because we can't take our money, we can't take our car or our house or anything with us, right? Yeah. All we can take is our good deeds.
So your goal for becoming a businessman and entrepreneur was when you were at the college and you had those papers written to you, and so you took your goals basically serious. They were not just wish listed or something like that. So you were
but I still needed
really
some.
Mint, you know?
I still needed some pushing, right? Okay. So I was working for Merrill Lynch. I had a great job. I had my own apartment. Very, very nice life, you know, in New York. And after 1 year, my father, he called me up. Okay. And he said, you know, Sanzar, New York doesn't need you. Okay. He said, you can make a bigger difference in Afghanistan. Okay. So in 2005, 2006, everyone, all my friends, they were shocked. What are you doing? You're leaving this great job. You're selling everything. You take 2 bags. You go on the airplane. You're going to Afghanistan. You know, you're crazy. What are you doing? And then right after that, Merrill Lynch and the whole financial crisis happened. Merrill Lynch was sold to Bank of America, so they all thought that I knew what was happening, but I didn't have any plan. But in Kabul, I came and I joined a venture capital firm.
Okay.
I joined a venture capital firm called ACAP Partners. It was a $20 million venture capital firm, and they wanted to invest in businesses. If someone wanted to start a business or expand their business, they would provide equity financing.
Okay.
So this was before the first suicide attack. This was when I was driving by myself from here to Islamabad, in a car without any worry of the security. So it was a very different time. Slowly the security got worse. The first riots started happening. The suicide bombing started happening, and the investors got very worried. They realized this is not a post-war economy. This is really a war economy. So unfortunately that closed. Then I worked as an advisor from the US government to the Afghan government. I was an advisor to the Attorney General of Afghanistan. So for 4 years I did government work. And I was very fortunate because, I did Merrill Lynch, which was a big US corporation that had thousands and thousands of employees. So I learned kind of those big business, how they operate, all these systems and processes and how to. And then I went to venture capital, which there were only 2 people there. So very small, like a startup, all operations, you have to do everything from scratch. But still, I was working for somebody else. And then I joined the public sector. And the government, both the US government and Afghan government, very bureaucratic, very, very different situation. You're not worried about profit and loss. It's a completely different situation. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of other things involved. So after all of those experiences, I decided I enjoyed finance the most, and I really wanted to do something myself.
You said you were good at math when you were at school.
Exactly.
You were a number guy.
I was a number guy. I really enjoyed. I was a number guy. I was also a perfectionist. Okay. If there was a sign that was a little bit kaj, I wanted to straighten it. I wanted everything to be clean and perfect. 1 + 1 = 2. Okay. I didn't like the humanities where there's an answer, it's not really right, not really true. I wanted
along with it.
Yes, numbers.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. So finances, very clear. Profit, loss.
2 + 2 is 4.
Exactly. That's how it is. So we started with. I started my company.
Okay.
And we called it Afghanistan Financial Services, AFS.
And when was that?
This was March 2009.
March 2009.
Over 7 years ago.
Yeah. 7 years ago. Before we go into your, what triggered your decision to? You actually experienced, best of the both worlds. You work in the business world with Merrill Lynch, and also you had a taste of how to work in the public sector and the government. So you also work with small businesses, you work with the bigger businesses, so you had everything, What was that thing that triggered you, this is the time I have to start my own business?
I think it was the bureaucracy in the government. Okay. So if I was still with Merrill Lynch, I probably wouldn't have started my business. If I was with ACAP Partners, I probably wouldn't. I was learning so much, I enjoyed the environment, I had great colleagues, great boss, everything was very good. But then working with the government, I just felt very helpless. Whatever I wanted to do, I couldn't get it done.
You couldn't do it.
Right? There was so much politics, there was so much red tape. I was just seeing so much suffering. And especially I was in the Attorney General's office, so I saw so much injustice, right? That I felt like I was just earning a salary and I was not helping anyone. I wasn't helping my country, I wasn't helping myself, I wasn't helping anyone.
So you were not enjoying what you were doing.
No.
That's one of the things.
No.
And you wanted to make it enjoyable to yourself, but you couldn't.
I wanted to make it enjoyable, and I wanted to say, I made a difference. I helped somebody. There was a problem, and I solved it. Not that I just sat there and I get the salary and nothing changed. Everything was the same, right? I didn't want to die and say that Koshki. If I could have done something.
If I could have done something. But you didn't like, and you wanted to make changes. You did look for ways to make a change there. You did your best.
Yes.
Or you just gave up.
No. I definitely looked to make a change. So, and I'm very proud of the work that we did there as well. We developed the first criminal case management system in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So there's the 7 justice agencies, Sarun Wali, Amnat al-Milli, Wazar Dakhila, Wazar Difa, High Office of Oversight, all of these 7 different agencies, the courts, the Ministry of Justice, they had their own criminal case records. and so the same case file was going between these different offices. It would get lost. And, there was corruption. There was different problems, and so we developed the first system that all the agencies would log into the same database. Right. So there was a problem that this was all paperwork. It was not automated, and so given my computer science background, we developed the first database.
Okay.
We went to Pulicharchi prison. We put 4,721 inmates into that system. And within the first day, we could see all of their cases were in there. There were people that had been in Pulicharchi prison for 5 years, but the sentence was only 1 year. So they were there 4 years extra, for example. So the people that were there extra, in one day, we released 124 people.
Wow.
124 people were released because we found now that the database, we could just run a very simple search, how many people their sentence has finished, right? The time is over. But nobody was asking about them.
Because there was no tracking system.
No tracking system. You had to go through the archives and go through thousands of pages and find, what it was, one by one, to figure out where the case was. Today, so that was 4,000 cases. Today, that system has 180,000 cases. And it's being launched to all 34 provinces of Afghanistan.
Okay.
So I'm very proud of that work that was there.
That's good.
That I did try my best. I didn't just give up and go.
So that's there was a purpose why I asked you that question. So then you were not satisfied with the work you were doing, the achievements you had, and you want to do something for yourself or for the society or for both?
For both. I mean, of course, everyone wants to, provide a good life for their family, for their children, for to be well off, and so there is always that upside of it as well. But I think what really motivated me is that I saw there were so many things to do. Really, Afghanistan is just this beautiful open market. There's just so much you can do. 7 years ago, I used to say, if you just even open a bowling alley, you'll be the only bowling alley in Afghanistan, and you do well. Anything you do in Afghanistan, you will be one of the only ones.
You're making news,
and you'll be able to make a difference.
Okay.
And so it's really the land of opportunity, and so many people think about other areas but they miss what's right in front of them. Right? They're looking at other people. They're looking on the other side of the fence, but they don't realize and appreciate what opportunities they have right in front of them. The simple things. People think I need to come up with some genius idea, some special secret, some patent that I'm going to hide, and I'm going to start my own business because this is some special idea. No. Just something basic.
Okay. So tell us about some times of frustration when you were working with these different organizations. I'm sure you have reached a time where you were thinking that there are challenges I cannot overcome. How were there any?
Yeah. So there are challenges, and there's failures. I've failed over and over and over again. I've made big mistakes, very, very costly mistakes, and I've had to learn the hard way. And so there's a few rules that I've made for myself after a lot of those mistakes. But
when you were at Saranwali, what mistakes you made, or what challenges you faced that made you really frustrated?
Really frustrated.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are life and death cases, so it's very difficult to discuss. The challenges at the Saranwali.
Don't want to specifically talk about Saranwali.
Any challenges?
Any job as an employee or something. What challenges you had? Like you really took the breath away from you.
I think the challenge in managing work-life is a big challenge. So I would get too caught up in a work, and I would be focused on it day and day night, and then I realized, I haven't seen my children, and they're growing up. I'm not going to even, I'm not going to see them. I'm missing the most important. Why am I working? I'm working for my family.
Yeah.
So if I don't have the time to spend with my family, what's the whole purpose of working?
So you didn't have the flexibility because you were working
I was working 7 days a week. There was one point I was working 4 jobs at the same time. I was working 4 different jobs. So my family was suffering, my relationship was suffering, and I realized that I was putting in the water before the big rocks. I should have put the big rocks in first. And then the small.
So there was a challenge for you because you were so consumed with your professional life that you couldn't balance it.
Yes.
And it reminds me of a story of a person, and they asked him, do you have kids? Yes, I have like 3-4 kids. And say, how old they are? He said like No, this much, this much, this much. I say, why? So because when I leave home, they're asleep. When I come back home, they're asleep. So I always seen them like this. So I don't know how tall they are. So you may have been in that situation. It must have been very hard.
Yes, it is hard, but at the same time, it is. You're hoping that you're going to make something that then you'll have more time, that you'll be able to be more flexible. So people they think, okay, if I have my own business, I'm going to be my own boss. So then I don't need to go to work at 7 in the morning, and I can sleep in, and I can do whatever I want, and nobody can tell me what to do. That's a complete lie.
Okay.
When you have your own business, you work 10 times more than if you were to. You're going to work, you're going to get up earlier, you're going to go to sleep later, you're going to have more headaches, more challenges. So, be ready for that. There's advantages, of course. There's advantages because you can see the fruit of your labor. You don't have to, deal with politics, other things as much. But don't ever think that it's some easy ride and that, once I start my business, khalas, I'm just going to sit in a room and tell other people to work and, that's it.
So the transition from being an employee and becoming an entrepreneur, so one of the reasons was that you mentioned that, okay, you were not satisfied with the achievements, you want to do something bigger, you want to do something for yourself and for the society and have that flexibility to be able to do. I'm sure there were times that you had a lot of ideas that you want to make change, but because you were an employee, you had to take orders from someone above you. You couldn't have implemented those. Have you?
Well, be careful, because now you're coming up with an excuse. Okay. And I said, remember, there's no excuses.
Okay.
So I took it as an opportunity. I was happy that I had a job, not that it was an obstacle. Because when I had a job, I had money then to fund my business.
Okay.
So my first employees, they were all paid from my part-time job. So I was very happy that I was employed because then I could fund my business. People say I don't have money to start my business.
Okay.
I didn't take money or financing from anyone else.
Okay.
I bootstrapped it. Whatever revenue I had from my salary, I paid the first few employees, and then slowly, you put more and more, and you add more and more on that. So it's a slower process. If I had lots of money, I could jump quicker,
yeah.
But this way also I didn't have to worry about owing somebody or being in debt. That was also very valuable for me.
Okay. So when you started your business in 2009, how was the situation back then?
The situation was
Businesses.
for businesses. It was very, very different. A very, very different environment. There were security problems, but obviously there's more security problems now. There were hurdles in the government, but there might be more hurdles now. There was a lot of hope in the country, and so people thought a lot about it. However, there's this trend that people have. They see somebody opening a logistics company, so then everybody opens a logistics company. They see somebody opening construction, then everybody opens a construction company. They see someone opening a supermarket, then everybody has to open a supermarket, or a university, or a bank, or whatever it is. They just copy, right?
And what's the latest trend?
What's the latest trend?
Swimming pools.
Swimming pools. Everybody has to have a swimming pool. So but then the first people, they get really afraid. Oh, I was the first university, they're going to take all my market, I'm going to compete with them. And so there was a lot of that going on. There was malicious competition where people were saying, I don't want you to do this because I want to, you're taking the market from me. And so when I tried to do something, I said, okay, I want to do something that uses the mind. It's not easy to compete with.
Yeah.
Right? If I bring, water, then people can say, okay, I'll open a water bottling plant as well. And then there was 40 water bottling plants, right?
Okay.
Or I'll ship it as well, and they'll do it. You can never, there's two ways to compete. One is on quality, and one is on price.
Okay.
You will never win if you compete on price. There will always be someone that can do it cheaper than you.
Okay.
There will always be manufacturing companies in China that can make it cheaper than you. There will always be IT people in India that can do it better than you, right? If you compete on price, in my opinion, you'll always lose. If you compete on quality, that's where the difference is. So when I started something, I saw all of these copying people, and I thought if I do something, people will just copy the same thing and they'll do it themselves.
Okay.
Right? So I wanted to do something that people couldn't copy easily, because it required skills, it required brand name, it required a very high level of quality, of technical abilities that maybe didn't hit people out. So I started financial management. It was with the central bank. We did their systems and financial management. And then we did taxes. It was a very complicated, difficult. You needed high skills of legal, of finance, of accounting, of working with the government, of negotiation, all these different things together. It was not easy to copy it, although people did copy it. And I'll tell you about that as well. But I tried to start something that I could compete on quality. And I wanted to be the best of the best, and not worry about somebody coming and just doing it 1 rupee cheaper or 1 of 1 cheaper, and then taking the whole market from me.
You. Okay, and you started the financial management services. What was the name of your company?
AFS, Afghanistan Financial Services.
Afghanistan Financial Services, and you were the only one who started with this idea, or you had a partner or colleagues or something you worked with you?
So one of the lessons that I learned from ACAP partners was that I saw many companies that they had partners.
Okay.
And the partnerships, they broke apart.
Okay.
When the business is good, sometimes the partnerships last, but every business is going to face challenges. And when the business faces challenges, then the partnership comes apart.
Okay.
And it becomes very messy. You know, the partners get upset, and they, even if they're family, they start arguing. So I learned from when I was in the venture capital, sir, that whatever you do, just start it small, but start it yourself. If you need partners, do a prime contractor and subcontractor relationship.
Okay.
Don't do something else. Even if you have to do a partnership, then always do partnership on revenue, not on profit.
Okay.
Now this is very important. If you do partnership on profit, then you'll say, okay, after all of the expenses, we're going to share the profit.
Okay.
But you're going to fight on the expenses. I don't accept this expense. Why did you travel here? This is not a good. I would have done it cheaper. You fight on all the expenses, and so then you never agree on the profit. What is the profit of the company? Maybe you don't have any profit. Then what do you do? Right. So if you do an agreement with somebody else, always do your calculations on the revenue. Don't do your calculations on the profit, because that will always, you'll come to a fight with it. Revenue is clear. Profit is more difficult. And second, I tried not to do with family. I have a wonderful family. They're very, very highly educated. But in business, there'll be good times, there'll be bad times.
Yeah.
And there'll be times when you're not going to get along. There are going to be times that you have to fire somebody, you have to fire a vendor, you have to fire a client, you have to fire your employee. With family, it's very difficult to fire your own family, right? So your business decision is going to be clouded. You're going to have a bias with your family members. So keep your family, help your family, support them. They're the reason. They're one of the big rocks, is your family, right? But don't mix them with business. Keep your family separate, keep your business separate. And if you partner on revenue. Don't partner on profit.
So you didn't have any partners?
No, it was 100% myself.
Yeah. And did you have enough capital to start your business?
I did not.
You did not?
So every month I was worried, will I be able to pay the salaries or not? Will I be able to pay the rent for the office or not? And so I moved, because of the rent, I moved from Gulbar Plaza to my father's house.
Okay.
And my father was very kind to provide free space. I was worried about salary because of the hadith that says when somebody does work, you should pay them before the sweat dries.
Okay.
That's how quickly you should pay them, right? You shouldn't delay their salary 1 month or 3 months or 6 months and then pay them later. No. Pay them on time, pay them regularly, pay them the same day, because that will build confidence in you, and it's the right way to do it. It's how you should treat people. Is treating them. So I didn't have enough capital. I was, very, very worried about every month, and that's the time I took 4 jobs, because I needed to work anywhere. I worked consulting work here. I did this project here. I helped this other person here, just so that I could keep funding my business and keep it alive.
Okay. And the 4 jobs you were earning, you were getting small percentage of it for your own expenses, and the rest would go for your
exactly.
So then, so actually, in a way, your professional work actually helped your business.
Very much so.
It does.
If I didn't work, I wouldn't have the experience. I would almost everything that I applied in my business, I learned working someplace else.
Somewhere else.
Processes, procedures, how to treat people, HR. I mean, a business is not just one thing. If you're the best programmer in the whole world, if you're the best doctor in the whole world, it doesn't mean you can run a successful business. The best doctor in the world doesn't have a successful hospital. No. The best programmer in the world doesn't have a successful IT company. Because in a business, you have to be the driver, you have to be the HR director, you have to be the IT, fix the computers, you have to be the cleaner, you have to be the, all the different, you have to have all the skills, that you have to do a little bit of everything. right? You have to to be able to successful. But you also have to know your own weaknesses. And if you can't do something, you have to find the right people to do that. So if you think you can do everything and you're so arrogant that, my way is the right way, then definitely you'll fail the first day, right?
Okay.
If you recognize these are things that I don't know, and you find the people to help you, and you appreciate them, that's really what will make a difference.
And was it difficult to make that decision?
To start the business?
Start a business.
Very, very difficult. Because
Have
the
you
job...
been reluctant sometimes, okay, I'm not going to do this.
The job that I had, it paid more than any other job I could imagine. It gave me health insurance. It gave me travel benefits. It gave me a phone. It gave me all of these things. So I said, okay, well, what if I lose my job, I'm not going to have health insurance? Then what if my children get sick? What if this happens? What if, if I don't have any money, how can I feed my family? I can pay my rent. My parents are dependent. What can I do? And a lot of different things. So there's a lot of tashwish. Where, what if I fail? Everyone is saying, 80% of new businesses fail.
Yeah.
So that's pretty likely. It's most likely I'm going to fail, right? So it's a very, very difficult decision.
And despite all that, they tricked you or something, provide you all the benefits, you decided to start your own business.
I did.
Although you didn't have enough money to do that.
No.
So what you had was an idea, right? And you were confident about your idea back then? Like, okay, this is a good idea, it's going to work. Were you thinking like that?
I thought that, if I try my best, I'll be able to do it. We originally did systems for the central bank. And I thought I could do a lot more foundations in the financial markets and capital markets, and I could start things there. That had an idea to do what I was doing at Merrill Lynch in terms of equities and debts and sukuk and all these different things. I could bring them to Afghanistan. But what I learned really, the market didn't care about my ideas. The market had its own need.
Okay.
All right. The market's need was that companies were having trouble filing their income tax returns with the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
They were having problems getting their tax clearances. They were having problems renewing their licenses. That was the market need.
Okay.
They didn't care what my idea was, my vision was, my great plan that I'm going to do this for Afghanistan and on and on and on. So what you have to do is you have to figure out what the market wants, and you have to satisfy the market need. What does your customer want? And then the market will pull you in that direction. So my idea, we didn't get any money, we didn't help anything at all. Very quickly, all we did was tax. The market pulled us. This was what the market needed. We have to see what the market wanted. And that's how we grew. All of the products that we did was because of market demand.
So your idea actually was to fill the gap that existed in the market. So your idea satisfied the need for the market. That's how. So basically, I think that's entrepreneurship. That you see a challenge in the market or in the society that doesn't have a solution yet. So you come up with a solution, and if your solution is the right solution and the market observes it, and then you start something. So idea basically is born that way. So
exactly.
there was
you see a gap, you see a problem. It's a problem you could be facing. It's a problem other people could be facing. Maybe you hear somebody complaining. I hate all of these jumps in the road, bumps in the road. So then you start a company. Well, okay, bumps in the road. How can I solve that? Maybe we can find a business that all they do is they clean the bumps and they get the petition of the people. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. You find out what the people's problems are, what they don't like, and you help them solve it so they get happier and better and their lives are better.
So that's innovation basically. You start a new thing, a new thing, new idea, and then based on the people's needs. So it doesn't have to be like idea coming from somewhere like completely out of touch with the reality. It has to be based on
reality.
On realities on that. And then it was difficult. You had doubts about it, but the market responded well, and then you started your business as a financial management services. The first parts were very difficult, and you were paying from your own pocket to your employees. Have you run into any failures, like you were about to fail and stop your business?
Yes. There's people that have come and said, I'm going to be doing exactly that. If you don't stop, then we'll see about your security. I can't take care of your security, right? Okay. In Afghanistan, people will threaten all sorts of things. That they will They'll try to, there's people that are jealous. There are people that are just common thieves. There are people that think that, that they can only succeed if you fail, right? They don't see win-win. And this is very important for everyone to understand, is that just because someone is your competitor doesn't mean that they're your enemy, right? So I saw, after I started a tax consulting business, there was the big four, of course, but then I saw about 20 new tax businesses that came up over the next 5 years. And many people were like, oh, they're just copying your idea, they're taking the clients from you. And I said, no. You're looking at this completely different. You're making an excuse, right? Your competitor could be your best friend, because the market was not used to people paying for tax. Everyone was doing their own tax services. But now suddenly there were other tax providers, and they were also telling people, okay, here, you can hire a company to do your taxes, less headache to do so. All of a sudden that opens up the market for us. Now this is a practice. Why should you do your tax yourself? You can hire one of these companies to do so, right? And many of my clients, I didn't want to do work for them because they were smaller companies. But then our competitors provided tax services to them. That was great. They were filling the market. But then when those companies became bigger, they needed our services. But if they'd been doing it all alone and my competitors didn't exist, then maybe that would have never been a client for me. Or maybe my competitors made a big mess and I had to get called to clean it up, right? So they say that when you look at a glass and there's water in it, are you going to say, okay, it's half empty? Or are you going to say, no, half full? Right? It's a big difference in how you look at everything. There's a hidden blessing behind everything you do. Every challenge that you face, however horrible it is, you might not see the blessing in it. You might not see the benefit in it. But everything is from Allah. Right? We believe that. Everything is from Allah. So the example that I give, I have a 6-year-old daughter. I told her, go clean your room, right? And she goes and she takes all of the things out of her closets and she puts it on the floor because she needs to clean the closet. And then I come into the room and I say, what are you doing? I told you to clean your room and you made a bigger mess, right? But no. I didn't have that patience, because to clean up first you have to get things organized. You have to put it away, right? And so even the most horrible things, there's a suicide attack and the whole building is blown up and all these people die. What good is in that, right? You think to yourself, how horrible is this situation? But no, there's a benefit in that as well. Those people might, go straight to heaven, of course, become shaheed. Maybe they would have been suffered on earth for something else. Maybe they didn't feel any pain. Maybe that business owner opened up something bigger for him. So we should always, when you see a failure, when you see something horrible, when you see a challenge, don't ever look at the negative side. Always look behind it. Look for the fruit, and you'll find it.
Okay.
You might not find it today or tomorrow. Eventually, you'll see that there was some hikmat in it. There was some barakat in it.
Okay. And so, what challenges you faced other than having financial difficulty and that? When you started your business, what were the challenges as a specific to business challenges what you faced?
I found a challenge that it was very difficult to find, very reliable people, right? Because at different phases of a business, you need different type of people. When you start a business, there's an entrepreneurial spirit. He's this wild person that's going to go and start everything and push everything, and he's very aggressive. But then when your business matures, you need a more calm person. You need someone that's there and solves the issues and is reliable for customers. As you grow, you need different types of leaders. And so for me, it was very, very difficult to find the right type of people for the right job. Different people have different skills. Some people, they're very, very good at politics. Some people, they're very, very good at finance. Some people are very good at managing people. Some people are very bad at managing people. And so it's very, very difficult to find the right mix of people to always find the needs. I'm by nature a very trusting person. So I would, it's very difficult for me to believe that somebody is lying straight to my face.
Okay.
But there's all types of people in the world. There are people that are incredibly honest, and they will always have your back. They will take a bullet for you. They'll be there for you in your worst times. They'll be there for you in your best times. But there's other people that maybe as soon as they have an opportunity, they'll stab you in the back. 7 years you could do good work for them, but they could do that. So there's all type of people in the world. You should be very, very careful who you trust, who you give responsibilities for.
And you had to face with people like that?
Unfortunately, everyone does, right? Both in your personal life, in your professional life, when you go to the government, when you travel, when you meet, whoever it is, you're going to face all types of people. And you shouldn't lose your trust in people. That's not good either. You should always, believe in people and have faith in them and inspire them and motivate them. But then, don't depend on them as well. You need to be independent. You shouldn't, you shouldn't see that my whole life and my livelihood and my children are all dependent on someone that's not
someone
there.
else like that. So that was your coping strategy. Like that's how you coped with when you face people who had ill intentions towards you or your business. How did you manage that?
The first thing is to keep integrity, right? It's like when you lie. You might think it's always just a small lie, but that lie is going to grow.
Yeah.
And then you have to say another lie on top of that lie, and another lie on top of that lie. And that grows and grows and grows. It's like a cancer, right? Everything you do, right from the beginning, even if it's a small negative thing, just cut it right there. Don't let it grow. If it's a small problem, it's always going to grow into a bigger problem. Right?
If you let it.
If you let it grow. So stop it before it grows. Stop it when it's at its roots, before it grows into a big, a big thing. And so face your problems up front. Don't just hide, it's going to get better. Don't worry, tomorrow it's going to change, and then just keep ignoring it. If you have a problem, that's what you should prioritize. Don't think I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then eventually the problem is going to go away. Your problems are not going to go away.
Yeah.
You have to face your problems and always make sure that you keep your integrity. What goes around comes around. There's some people that you will see that are doing things the wrong way, and you'll be tempted to do it the wrong way. You'll pay a bribe, you'll do something wrong, because you're like, everyone else is doing it, khalas, there's no other way to do it. They'll say, that's Afghanistan, khalas, Shirini, that's the way it is, otherwise you can't do any business, you're not going to be successful, you're going to be failed. Right? That's what they're going to say. No, not at all. Because when you start, that work that you do, bibarakat misha. And slowly, it's going to contaminate everything else that you do. And that's going to get worse. When you sacrifice your principles on one thing, you're going to do it on something bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you've lost all your integrity. And then there's no point of doing business. Because what's the point of doing business? Is to be honest. And if we don't have any halal revenue, it's all haram.
Yeah.
So, and it's gonna.
A lot of things can make your business haram if you lie to somebody,
Yeah.
And if you treat somebody not nice and all that, just to make a profit and all that. So sure there were challenges, and the way to cope with them is to never lose your, principles. You have to do the right thing to work on that. So let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship itself, and then from there we can also add your personal experiences that you gain starting a business or something. What do you think is entrepreneurship? Like you're there, like
entrepreneurship is solving problems. That's really the core of what I see it is. You see some problem, you see someone's facing some challenge, and you want to stop that problem. Right? Now. The bigger the problem, the more difficult it's going to be. So don't try to do everything in the world. You say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Try to narrow it down. It's a very small problem, solve that problem, and then you can kind of expand and build on it, step by step. So entrepreneurship really is solving problems. Just because people think that, okay, starting a business, that's entrepreneurship. If you're not solving anyone's problems, I don't think it's entrepreneurship. It's just wasting money, right? If you're in a job and you're solving problems, that's entrepreneurship. If you see problems and you're recommending solutions, whatever, at your current employer, that's great. Entrepreneurship is really being proactive and not reactive. If I'm sitting down waiting for people to bring papers to me and I'm gonna sign it, and that's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is looking around and seeing seeing issues and then taking the initiative to change it.
And that initiative may also entail risk.
Risk. But the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Yeah. So people in Afghanistan, they say, okay, it's too risky here. The government's so difficult. Oh, the regulations so high. They increased the taxes. They've done this. They've done that. There was no electricity for 1 month. I can't find good people. I might as well, go abroad and do something else. They think it's too risky to do it. And I say, perfect. Great that it's too risky. You should be happy. The more risky it is, the better the opportunity. That means that the bigger, well-established companies are going to go away, right? Yeah. In my company, some of the big 4 companies closed and left Afghanistan. That's more opportunity for me, right? During the time of the Taliban, if you purchased some land in Wazir Pathan, you would have bought it for a very low amount of price.
Yeah.
It was very, very risky, right? It was the most risky time, but look how successful you would have been now, right? So it's the same thing now. You think it's so risky, it's so horrible, this is the worst time to invest in Afghanistan? No. It's the best time to invest. Because everyone else is leaving, the market opportunities are opening more and more, and that's when you'll be able to do it. The prices for rent are going down. There was a time you couldn't find a proper villa because it was just too expensive to rent it.
Yeah.
Now the prices are going down. You can find very excellent employees, in Afghanistan because a lot of the coalition forces have gone down. There's more unemployment. All of these, you could look at it as a horrible thing. Oh, there's so much unemployment. Or you could look at it as a positive thing. Oh, great. That means I can find some great talent that's underutilized and I can utilize it, right? So I
never cost is really low and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are the other reasons to start in Afghanistan?
The other reasons, well, for me it was, I have a big nationalistic sense, Mm-hmm. If we don't fix Afghanistan, who is? Right? The people in this room, just think about it. Who are you going to leave Afghanistan to? Right? Is it going to be your parents? Is that generation? Is it going to be the next generation? Right? No, this is our country, this is our soil. If you go to another country, for example, there's some Gulf countries, you have to find another sponsor. And that sponsor, everything is going to be under them. That sponsor has to be a shareholder. They're going to be able to get profits. They're going to be doing things. It's never going to be yours. You're always going to be the foreigner there, no matter where you go, right? But this you own it. This is your land. These are your people. This is your name. This is your country. This is your future, right? Mm-hmm. So, yes, there might be opportunities other places as well. It's a small world, but Afghanistan, you'll be able to succeed where you can't others, right? Mm-hmm. You might think the system is bad, but at least you know the system. In other countries, you might not know the rules. You might not know the system. You might not know the people, right? Here, you know the good people and you know the bad people. You know the good families, you know the bad families. You know who to do it. So I really think there's many reasons, to invest in Afghanistan, to stay in Afghanistan, to work in Afghanistan, to learn in Afghanistan, because really the future is here, right? The other countries, they've already been saturated. The market has everyone. Who you need to compete with first, right? It's already, the cup is full. Right? Here, there's an opportunity to do so, and it has a bright future. They estimate over $3 trillion of mining here, just natural resources. We have more fresh water than most of our neighbors. We have agriculture. In every way you look at it, we have God has given us a massive amount of gifts. So for Afghanistan, all the ingredients are there, right? You have 30 million population. They need services. They need goods. They need a life, right? You have fantastic agricultural land. You have fresh water. You have 6 different neighboring countries. We have, I mentioned already, 3 trillion worth of minerals. We have a wonderful youth population. Most of the developing economies of the world, by the way, they're aging. Their workforce is all getting older and older and leaving. Afghanistan, 70% of the population is under the age of 25. Or 30. We have a very young, dynamic, energetic, smart, brilliant, athletic. Afghans are some of the best, smartest people, best looking people in the world. It's really, all the ingredients are there, right? Now, the question of whether or not it's going to succeed, that's in your hands. Don't wait for someone else to make Afghanistan succeed, and then I'm going to start my business. If you make it succeed, then Afghanistan will succeed. If the people in this room, you do something about it, then it will succeed.
So what was the social impact for your organization? Like
There's many. One is we grew as a family. We have our community of 180 employees.
Mm-hmm.
They support their families. We're helping the government stand on its own feet. We collected over $1 billion Afghani taxes last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we want the government to be able to have the resources, not to be dependent on foreigners or others, but to be able to be independent. We are trying to make a model for ourselves. That yes, you can do business in Afghanistan without giving bribes. Yes, there is a way to do it right way, and people should learn that no, we have to be an example, for others. So there's numerous ways to do social impact. Now, this idea that you mentioned about ham sawab, ham khurma is very, very important. If you're doing something that doesn't have a social benefit, I don't recommend it because it's not sustainable, really. If you're going to develop some special video game, then who are you really helping? You're just wasting people's time. You're not solving anyone's problems. Right? Try to do something that's going to solve people's problems. And even this word innovation, people think, oh, innovation, I have to come up with some new product or some service. No, you can take a very simple existing product and just change it a little bit, make it better. Give it to a new way, a new market, a new audience. It doesn't have to be something great. And the example that's really great for this is the example of khanagi. So khanagi is a nanwai. It's a bread seller. So when they wanted to start khanagi, the owners.
Where was that?
This is just last year.
Okay.
The owners people were saying, why do you want to start a bread, a nanwai? There's a nanwai on every corner. That's not innovation. Mm-hmm. That's not something new. That how are you going to compete? There's more nanwai than you can imagine, right? But no, they opened it. They decided we're going to make whole wheat bread, and we'll add walnuts, and we'll add maybe sesame, and we'll add black seeds, and we'll do it with a better flavor and better quality, and we'll have some cream, and we'll have some other products that people will like as well. Now they're a wonderful, very successful nanwai. Now think about that. You don't have to, I don't have any idea, give me some idea, what can I do in Afghanistan? No. Pick anything. Anything that you are passionate about, that you enjoy, that you're interested in, that you love doing, and just do it better. Whatever it is, it's there, do it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Right? If it's in your own job, whatever you're doing, do it better than everyone else. Then you'll succeed.
Yeah. I thank very much Mr. Sanzar Kakar for their time. I thank you very much for participating in this session with us. Please continue your interaction with us. And I did talk about Founder Institute. Founder Institute is also one of the places where you can get a lot of help for your business, especially if it's technology related. Keep talking to us. Send us emails. Please send Mr. Kakar emails. Talk to him. Ask for his opinion. So just don't think it's going to be the last of your sessions regarding this. And I'm going to do one quick final survey. How many of you want to start your own businesses? That's very good. That's very good. I wish I could. I had the survey like that before, so we could see the differences. How much of our talk. But it was a good number today. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Kakar. Thank you very much for today's session. And let's go. Thank you. So thanks a lot. Thank you.